Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Breitling Superocean Steelfish. You can see this oversized, extreme deep-sea diver and purchase it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Superocean Steelfish. Now, the watch on my wrist represents a lot of watch for the money, both in terms of its substance. It's big, and it feels substantial, well-made, all of a piece, and the fact that you're getting an awful lot of content in terms of deep diving refinements. It's an easy watch to wear, though. I have to say, though 44 millimeters across the round of the case, not including crown or crown guards, I have no trouble fitting it on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, and you can see to good advantage from this angle. The watch really could be fit to a wrist as small as 15 centimeters with little trouble. Now, it is thick, there's no doubt, 16.8 millimeters thick, but it's built to match, which is to say it's thick, but just as it talks the talk, so too does it walk the walk. More on that in a moment. From lug to lug, the watch is big, but not quite as big as the case diameter would suggest. Something like a 44 millimeter Panerai Luminor is going to be about 53.5 millimeters lug to lug. This watch, 44 millimeters, is 52.8 lug to lug. So it's manageable. I would say down to 15 centimeters circumference. With an oval wrist, you will have absolutely no difficulty wearing this watch. Now, you can see the timepiece features what was known at the time as the Professional 2 bracelet, which is to say similar sized links but slash cut. Prior to that, the Professional was similar sized links horizontally cut, and then later dissimilar sized links and slash cut. But this is a handsome bracelet that helps us to approximate the age of the watch. With the bracelet code in early 2010, that's likely pretty close to the build time of this watch. Now, it's nicely executed. The case is incredibly solid, polished on its flanks. You can see a standard helium escape valve with satin finished lug tops. The bracelet, all of satin finish, very comfortable. You can see against the backdrop of my baseboard there's quite a bit of channeling, so the bracelet aerates the wrist nicely on a hot day. Also, you can see the broad channels between links right there, avoiding pinching of skin or pulling of hair. The bracelet is sized entirely with screws, so no pins and sleeves here, and the clasp itself is nicely executed single fold deployment with a clamshell for security when buckled. The watch features the characteristic Breitling screw-fixed bezel with chimney and riders. Let's break that down. The bezel is actually secured to the case using these screws. Now, it's a unidirectional rotating dive bezel, so it works in customary fashion. You line it up, the luminescent pearl, with the minute hand, and now you can time an interval from 0 to 60 minutes, and I find this convenient for everything from timing cooking to calculating time remaining in an exam or intervals between meetings. The key thing is the screws keep the bezel fixed securely. When we disassemble these watches for refinishing and restoration, these bezels require every individual screw to be removed, such that you get a sense of just how solidly the watches are made. You see Rolex and Omega and Tag Heuer bezels occasionally kicked right off by an impact because they're snapped into place. This is not snapped into place. It is mechanically fixed to the watch. Now, those rider tabs, I mentioned them. They're a modern Breitling hallmark, starting with the Chronomat family in the 1980s. They allow you to get a better purchase on the bezel by aggressing against the skin or a glove, and that's the other thing. They make the bezel easier to use with a glove. It's a unidirectional rotating dive bezel, but without some sort of surface against which to gain purchase, it can be difficult to turn these bezels. Not so with the rider tabs. Finally, you can see the chimney. It's the polished ring inboard that keeps the bezel physically planted in place along with the screws and helps to provide a buffer between bezel and crystal. You'll also note how flush the crystal is fitted to the chimney, hence the use of the buffer between bezel and crystal. Now, the other thing I like about the watch is that there's no Cyclops eye magnifier. Breitling dive watches tend to be clean in their aesthetic and highly functional. This is an at-a-glance watch in bright light, low light, or no light. You can see that the contrast against the dial is high. It's a handsome texture, of course stamped guilloche at this price, but nicely executed. Breaks up the plane of the dial base. There's an outboard ray halt that slopes down that can be used for more precisely reading minutes or seconds, and then there's a date window, and the watch does feature a quick set adjuster for the date, so too does it feature hacking or stop seconds. Now finally, it's important to note that since 2000, all Breitling watches have been chronometers. So this watch is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, not just very precise, automatic winding with a 42-hour power reserve, with water resistance down to 2,000 meters and a standard helium escape valve. That's something that you will not find, for instance, in a standard Rolex Submariner. You will not find such a refinement as a helium escape valve, which, though completely unnecessary for most users, is a refinement that's nice to have because it represents added capability. Like a Ferrari with a 200-mile-an-hour top speed, it's the fact that it's there, not whether you'll use it. The movement is tried and true. It's known as the Breitling Caliber 17. It's an ETA 28242 in chronometer grade specification. A handsome watch, built quite tough, nicely executed, and one of the few oversized Breitling references that wears well on a small wrist. You can see and own the Superocean Steelfish on our website.